You're tuned in to Nerd Overload, your weekly show for video games, movies, TV shows, comics, tech news, and more. Now your hosts, Cody Pennick, Samantha Cross, Sam Dunham, and Josh Harrison.
Hey everybody, welcome to Nerd Overload, the Jabberjaw of Pop and Geek Culture podcast.
What does that even mean?
That's for you to decide. I'm Cody.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Samantha.
Oh, we have a great show for you this week. Thank you all for tuning in. We have a bunch of news to go over, but first let's talk about some things we have been checking out.
We watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, yeah, the Quentin Tarantino. Yeah.
It was very boring.
Really?
Almost extremely so.
You almost turned it off
Yeah.
halfway through.
Well, it was one of those, like, how far are we into this? And you pause it, and it's like, you're almost coming up on halfway. It's like, oh my god.
Oh, really?
I feel like I've been watching this for 3 years.
So what's the main thrust of the movie? What's the main plot of the movie?
It's kind of like a historical reimagining of the Manson murders.
Oh,
but
okay.
Focuses mainly on a fictional actor and his fictional stunt double,
Okay.
played by Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt is the other guy, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
That's them.
And they are not as interesting of characters as Tarantino seems to think they are.
Yeah, I mean it seems like it's kind of in the same vein a little bit as Inglourious Bastards, because that was also a fictionalized version of real life-ish events.
It's very similar, I think.
Yeah, okay.
But that at least had an interesting thrust about it.
Yeah.
It at least was saying something, even if it was just like, hey, Nazis are dumb.
Yeah.
This doesn't, just kind of flounders around and doesn't really do anything,
Yeah.
but give you a look into these two guys' life that's not just, they don't really ever do anything interesting.
Yeah, it seemed like Leonardo DiCaprio's character was kind of nearing the end of his career. Like, he was kind of a washed-up actor or something along those lines.
He was on a cowboy TV show in the 50s, and he's trying to make his way in I guess it's the 60s when this happens?
Late
60s, early 70s?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a waste of Margot Robbie. She didn't really get to do anything.
Yeah.
Just kind of walked around.
Yeah.
Huh.
Which is a shame because she's great.
Yeah. From the trailers, it looked like they found someone like Bruce Lee, plays a bit part or something, and the guy that they found to play Bruce Lee looked the part.
Yeah, he looks like Bruce Lee. He doesn't act like Bruce Lee.
Oh, he doesn't?
No, they turn Bruce Lee into kind of a jerk.
Mm.
And he gets beat up by Brad Pitt's character, which is dumb. Nobody can beat up Bruce Lee.
Nobody.
Bruce Lee.
He's Bruce Lee. That's, yeah. Huh.
I have a hard time believing this fictional character could beat up Bruce Lee.
Yeah, this movie is one of the ones that I just didn't have any interest in seeing, just because it just didn't look...
It's not worth it.
Not worth it,
It is absolutely not worth it. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it, because I don't think you should watch it anyway. They go to the wrong house. The Manson family goes to the wrong house.
Mm.
That's where the alternate history split is.
Oh, really?
It's what if the Manson family went to the neighbor's house instead, and the neighbor was this washed-up actor and his stunt double.
And they just beat up everybody, right?
They beat up the Manson family. They just beat the crap out of them, and that's it. That's what you wait 3 hours to see,
Wow.
basically.
But no, man, that's a bummer.
It's probably the worst Tarantino movie I've seen.
Really?
And I've seen most of them.
Yeah. Huh. See, I never saw The Hateful Eight, and I heard that one. I heard that one was interesting, but one that you wouldn't want to have repeat viewings.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I saw that one. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was like Django that wasn't as good.
Yeah.
Which I did. I liked Django. I thought that was a good movie.
Yeah, Django was good. Django was fine. Do you think maybe the shine is finally starting to come off of Tarantino's stuff?
Yeah.
A bit?
Because this seemed incredibly self-indulgent, too. Is a lot of them driving around, listening to Tarantino's favorite jingles from the late 60s on the radio.
Okay, here's a question. How many nasty bare feet were there?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah, I kind of figured. I figured there was a bit.
It's like he views women as just a giant pair of feet. Like, it started feeling that way
Really?
partway through the movie.
Oh.
Sometime after Margot Robbie's filthy movie theater feat.
Wow.
It is probably his most self-indulgent film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you at least have to give Tarantino credit. He's confident enough to put the stuff that he is super into right up there on screen.
It's the most self-indulgent film of a man who makes incredibly self-indulgent films.
Wow.
The best, my favorite part was the after credits where it's Leonardo
when it's over?
Yeah, when it's Leonardo DiCaprio's character doing a fake ad for Red Apple cigarettes, which is like Tarantino's fake brand of cigarettes.
Sure, yeah.
That was actually kind of funny. The rest of the movie was nearly painful.
Really? Oh. Well, I feel kind of bad hearing that, because I've always been a fan of Tarantino stuff.
Yeah.
Although you always kind of figure, okay, his early stuff, that's kind of where it's at,
Yeah. I'm afraid to watch Kill Bill. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
This is one of my for a long time. If you asked me what my favorite movie is, I would have told you that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm afraid to go back and watch it. Is it really that good?
Part 1 holds up. It's been a little longer since I've seen part 2. I'm not sure if part 2 holds up.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen part 2 more than once.
I haven't seen them in years.
Maybe twice.
Yeah, it's part 1 still holds up. I watched that a year or so ago, I want to say, and it was good. It still had some of the foot stuff, and it had some of the fascination with Uma Thurman stuff. But it was overall a good film. The second part, I guess I didn't like the second part as much the one time I did see it.
Yeah, but I mean, it had to happen that way.
Yeah.
I feel like you couldn't have kept up the first part for another movie.
Oh, sure. No, that's understandable.
The other thing I did
Yeah.
was play D&D for the first time seriously.
Hey, all right. Okay.
I mean, I've fooled around with it in the past, not seriously.
Yeah.
But this is the first actual campaign that I've ever done.
Congratulations.
Had actual I don't know, somebody put time into it.
Okay, cool.
It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. If you haven't played it before, but you've listened to podcasts of people play it, you already got it.
Oh, okay.
It's surprisingly not complicated to play.
Oh, good.
I always figured it might be a little bit of a slog, but it is not.
Okay, awesome. So who's your character? What's his name?
My character is named Ragnar Keen.
Okay.
He's a paladin
who
is hunted by a demon that killed his family. And he's kind of searching for this monster to get revenge and to free his family's soul, but also afraid. He doesn't know if he's the hunter or the hunted of this particular monster.
Ah, gotcha.
And he also, one of his flaws is that he can't sleep at night. He has a real hard time sleeping. I described how he looked to one of the other players, and he goes, "So Eraserhead from My Hero Academia." And I'm like, darn it, you're right. I did design a guy that looks exactly like Eraserhead from My Hero Academia.
Oh, wow.
I blew all of my charges for lay hands on myself because I didn't understand exactly how that skill is supposed to be used.
Oh, okay.
It's not really a healing move as much as it is a move to get people save people from dying.
Oh. So there's a battle going on one side of the room, and you're just over here just rubbing yourself down.
That's what I thought. I'm like, I can lay hands on myself, and the DM's like, yeah, you can do that. But you get a pool of 5 times you can use it to restore 1 hit point, and I just burnt all 5.
Why would you do that?
I didn't get how it worked, which I'm glad they let me make that mistake and learn.
Oh yeah,
instead of saying, no, you can't do that. That's dumb.
Yeah. Well, that's a sign of a good DM. They let you do the dumb stuff.
And now I know. Save your lay hands.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm a little jealous. I've always wanted to play D&D, and I've just, for whatever reason, been almost into a couple of campaigns and always fell through. So yeah. Enjoy.
We've got one session.
You got one under your belt. Yeah. Good job.
It didn't end well for Ragnar Keen either. We ended up I split off with one of the other characters to chase down somebody.
Oh, you split the party.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd never split the party.
And I got shackled by some sort of demon and his mind flare minions with shackles that put me to sleep.
Oh,
So,
well, I mean, hey, you're going to feel great in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have trouble sleeping, I mean,
So we'll see what happens.
slap you with the Ambien shackles and knock you out for a night.
So that's where I'll start next time. Is wherever we were trying to find, people were disappearing and being sold into gladiator fights, I guess.
Oh, nice.
And we were trying to discover who was doing this and why.
Okay.
And it sounds like I'm going to be sold into gladiator
slavery. Fights.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, right on.
But yeah, it was super fun.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I really haven't checked out a whole lot this week, which seems to be what I say every week.
I think everybody says that every week.
I think so, yeah. But the non-geeky thing I did this week is I went down and saw the Blue Jackets play this week, which was a lot of fun. If you ever, anybody, okay, this episode is going to be surprisingly sports-centric.
Yeah, it really is.
Especially during the second half of the show. That's a little teaser. But I'm just a blanket suggestion to folks who are listening. If you ever get a chance to go down to Nationwide Arena and catch a Blue Jackets game or any kind of hockey game, hockey is a great sport, even if you have no idea what's going on, because it is really easy to pick up. It's just people skating back and forth. It moves really fast, bright lights. There's always something moving. It's not like football where there's, stoppages of play. It's not like baseball where, innings go forever. Because I like baseball, but like it,
oh, yeah.
I
would say I like baseball.
Yeah. But like hockey, it's constantly moving. The timer barely ever stops. So, I mean, it's always moving. It's always moving. And between, commercial breaks because, these things are televised, so they take commercial breaks and they always have like stuff on the Jumbotron. Again, always something to look at. It's a blast. You ever get a chance to go down there, do it. Highly recommended. The other thing I checked out, I went back and rewatched the made-for-TV movie Max Headroom 20 Minutes into the Future.
Didn't we talk about Max Headroom recently?
Recently? Not on the show.
Oh, maybe not. Okay.
We talked about Matt Frewer, who was in...
That's right.
It's the reason why I watched Max Headroom, because of a week or two ago I watched the... Generation X.
That's what it
made
was.
for TV
we were
movie,
talking about that.
And the villain was played by a guy named Matt Frewer, who was Max Headroom. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna check out Max Headroom, and because I'd watched the movie years ago and decided, yeah, this seems 80s nostalgic enough, and it holds up.
Wow.
It's
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Okay, it's very cool. It's a very neat
surprise.
Yeah. Actually, the made-for-TV movie, the TV series is available on DVD, but the made-for-TV movie that aired in Britain has never been commercially released. So it's like you can wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You can find places online to find it, but it was like second generation taped off of a VHS kind of a transfer. But the whole thing is set in a dystopic future where like television stations own everything. And people are pretty much locked behind their TVs. Television is the number one thing. And Matt Frewer plays this character, Edison Keene, I think his name is, something like that, where he's like an investigative journalist for a station, and he discovers that his station is planning to cram 30 seconds worth of ad space into 3 seconds so that they can fit more ads in, which has a side effect of causing people to explode. And because he's found out the truth and he's being chased by these cops, he gets in a motorcycle chase and cracks his head into like an off-ramp that says Max Headroom, whatever, however many meters. So they go, oh God, this guy is like our television, like our number one anchor. We got to get him back on screen, but he's in a coma. What do we do? They upload his brain into a computer, but it's all scrambled from getting hit. And so that's how Max Headroom gets created. And it turns into like it's a lot of Matt Frewer playing against himself, like as straight-laced, I'm going to get to the truth, reporter, and Max on screen, doing his computer hijinks and basically taking down this corrupt television station. And corrupt government. It's kind of what it is a stand-in of. But it's really cool. It's a, near dystopic future. Looks a lot like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Hey, you know what? That movie didn't look bad. It didn't look like Mario Brothers, but
it didn't look bad.
It had a cool cyberpunk look.
Well, there's a good reason why Max Headroom looked like that. 2 out of the 3 creators of Max Headroom directed and wrote Super Mario Brothers the movie.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so
it sounds like cyberpunk, but instead of internet, it's television.
It's you know what? It seems very much like Cyberpunk, the tabletop game.
Huh.
Like there's a class in the Cyberpunk games, tabletop game
right.
that's like a news, like a shock jock news anchor type, and that's this character.
Man, that's the game we need to play. We need to play Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there any podcasts that do that?
Yes, there is. Was it Dark Dice City or something like that? It's kind of a comedy podcast. It's really well done. They do it in like 12 episode seasons. So like, but it's really well done.
Shoot,
I like it a
thought
lot.
we could corner that market for a minute.
But like, that's the only one. So, I mean, how many
There's
D&D?
room.
Yeah, how many D&D podcasts are there out there?
Yeah, like a million.
A million. Yeah, against one other Cyberpunk 2020 campaign.
When that game comes out, it's gonna blow up.
Oh,
like,
it is.
Everybody's gonna want to get at that Cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I guess Polygon did that one video where
that's true.
Yeah, where they did a live play of it. Which have you ever watched that?
A
lot of fun, very, very fun. But really, that's all I've checked out this week.
How much time we got? Because speaking of D&D podcasts,
yes,
Samantha and I have both been super into Rude Tales of Magic.
Oh, okay,
recently.
Yeah.
It is a very good and very, very funny
yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons live play podcast.
Cool. All right.
It's mostly just improv and narrative based. They don't do a whole lot of like dice rolling and stuff, but it's better off for it because everybody on the show is hilarious. They all have like comedy or comics backgrounds.
Yeah,
It really shows, and it's a really entertaining
D&D
podcast.
Yeah, I listened to the first episode of it, and I liked it a lot. I have this thing, and I talked about it off the air. I have this thing where I have a hard time listening to more than one D&D podcast at one time. I start to get I get characters mixed up and like start getting like the storylines mixed up a little bit. I just have a hard time following them. And I'm real deep into the Spelljammer live play podcast called Gem Jammer, which is done by it's a spin-off podcast of there was a show called Gem Jam where they reviewed every episode of Gem and the Holograms, and one of the characters in this is basically Jerica and Gem in Gem Jammer, and it's a lot of fun. But anyway, yes. But I the one episode of Rude Tales I listened to was really good. I liked it.
I love how unique their characters are too. None of them fit like a fantasy trope. Like there's a Sasquatch lady and a fawn and a skeleton man who has like a big powdered wig. He's like a fancy wizard skeleton man named Frederick de Bonesby. And the other character is his cook, who's this little is he a raven?
I don't know.
Or a crow? He's a little crow man.
They had a different word.
Kutku is the name of the race. But he's a little crow man named Stir Fry. And he's very funny because he's just like incredibly dumb and ineffectual.
See that's the kind of D&D campaign I would like to get into, one where you can make jokes and be dumb.
Yeah.
Because like I tried the one that I almost got into, I tried to be kind of goofy. As it turns out, the DM had a very serious story in mind, and our play styles were not gelling. It lasted one session and that was it. But yeah, that podcast sounds awesome. I might have to jump back into it and give it another shot.
I'd have to say the only downside is the episodes are like 2 hours long.
Yeah, that was the other thing that kind of turned me off a little bit with it. But
I mean, put in a half hour here and a half hour there, and it's okay.
Yeah. All right, well, hey, let's go ahead and take a break here, and when we come back, we'll get into a little bit of news.
Hey, we're back. That was Toss a Coin to Your Witcher from the Netflix Witcher series by, I'm going to try this.
Okay, give
Let's
it a
see if we
shot.
leave it
Let's
in
see
or
what we
not.
can do it. Yeah.
Sonia Belasova and Giona Ostinelli.
Good job. Wow. That is a mouthful.
Yeah.
All right. Good job. So, hey, Cody, why did we play that song this week?
Besides it being a total banger.
Yeah, well, besides that, yes.
Do you want to know a fun fact about it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Oh, it originally had a rap in it.
Oh, seriously?
Yes. When they were working on it, there was a point in time where they had a rap in it.
Oh, my gosh.
They cut the rap.
Oh, bummer.
I kind of want to hear it.
Yeah. Oh, man, give the rap part to Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Get him in there. He'd do it.
Oh,
He'd do it. He'd do it for free.
My name is Jesker, and I'm here to say Geralt's my pal in a major way. That's probably what it was.
That's it. Yep, that's it. So anyway, yeah, why did we play the Witcher song?
Netflix has announced that they're going to produce a Witcher anime film.
On top of the Witcher TV series?
Yeah, that they have already announced the second season of.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
interesting news. I mean, the Witcher book series has been around for a very long time, and the games are very popular, and the show's popular, so I guess there's more
Yeah,
room.
the show's apparently been huge for them, which
Yeah.
is kind of surprising, I think.
Well, it's vaguely Game of Thrones-esque, and it's filling that void where if Game of Thrones were still around, this would be like kind of like Witcher.
It would have went over like a wet fart.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, because it is good.
Mm-hmm. But no. So this anime is it like just a film, or is it like a series, or was it?
I'm pretty sure it's a film.
It's a film?
Now I'm second guessing myself.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure it is a film.
Okay.
And the people that are working on the live action version are going to work on this too.
Okay, so it's like
It's
said
kind of like side story.
side story. Interesting. Well, I mean, hey, more power to them. You
what
know.
this really made me think though is like, what does anime even mean anymore?
Yeah. Right.
Witcher anime is like what?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Korean studio that's going to be doing the animation, so I mean, kind of.
Well,
it
kind of,
is.
but then again, a lot of cartoons, and you know this from listening to the What a Cartoon podcast. A lot of cartoons that were on Saturday mornings in America, they were all done by Korean and Japanese.
Yeah, they're all anime.
ACOM and TMS,
Tokyo Movie Shimpan.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
TMS.
Yeah. TMS. Yeah, I mean technically Muppet Babies is an anime.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're getting real technical, because it was all done by TMS.
The real Ghostbusters is
The real
an anime.
Ghostbusters is absolutely an
Inspector
anime.
Gadget.
Inspector Gadget is an anime.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, but I guess maybe it's because of a particular art style. Is it going to be in this kind of the same vein as the Castlevania?
I think that's
Okay.
how I'm picturing it in my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. Same
I
here.
don't think Castlevania looks terribly anime though.
I think
either.
it does in the way the Avatar: The Last Airbender shows do.
Yeah, and those
Because those aren't very, but it's like considered American anime, I guess. I'm speaking like I have any dog in this fight. I don't
think we
care
should go
about this
back
stuff.
to calling it Japanimation.
There we go. Japanimation. That's it. Yep. Yeah.
I guess it just sounds better than adult cartoon.
Yeah, I guess that would be yes. That would be
that makes it sound like it's going to get nasty.
It is The Witcher though.
That's
it
true.
very well could
it
get
probably
nasty.
will.
Yeah. But no, I mean, that's again, the project as a whole sounds really cool. Listen, if Netflix believes that there is room for two separate but equal He-Man projects, there's room enough for two Witchers.
I hope they get the guy that voices Geralt in the game to voice him in the animated
Oh
version.
yeah, that would be kind of cool.
I mean, if they don't want to pay Henry Cavill, this would be just as good.
Yeah.
If not better.
If not better. Yeah, right.
It's literally imitating him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of people voicing things in animated projects, news that is a perfect
Yes,
segue.
you nailed that
I
one.
nailed it, and
That one deserves the air horn.
No.
no. When you least expect the air horn is when you will get the air horn. So yeah, Joel McHale from Community and a bunch of other stuff, stand-up comedian, that sort of thing, is going to be voicing Johnny Cage in an animated Mortal Kombat movie.
And if you know anything about the character of Johnny Cage,
It seems
you will
about
realize
right.
that is the perfect casting.
Yeah, that seems about right. I looked at the cast, like the other voices cast for the movie, thinking that maybe there were some other, celebrity casting, that sort of thing. It seems like it's mainly animated voiceover actors. A couple that kind of stuck out. Kevin Michael Richardson does a million things. Grey Delisle, I guess Grey Griffin now. She's done a lot of things, but like McHale's like the big main kind of celebrity stunt casting, I guess, kind of.
It's good
It's
Mortal
good,
Kombat stunt casting.
It is.
Instead of the other stunt casting they did in the game.
Oh, well,
Oh, Lord.
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Boy, she was just the worst. Like, I rewatched the story mode on MK11 a while back, and boy, oh boy, everybody else is putting in, doing the best they can, and man, she was just there.
I mean, she probably was doing the best she could. Because she's not an actress.
She's not an actress. She tried being in the WWE for a while. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what her gimmick was?
Being Roddy Piper.
She would no-sell other people's stuff because she couldn't, like, fake taking hits. That was her thing. Her whole thing was, like, I can take any hit without getting knocked down, because secretly she didn't know how to take a fall. Yeah. That was... Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it made it into the game. Like, I can't believe they didn't hear that and went, like, Ed Boon didn't go, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Well, at that point, money had been spent.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, you're going to spend all that money and not put Ronda Rousey into your game?
And, like, nobody was excited about it.
Not a single person.
When that news came out, everybody was like, why?
Why?
Like,
No.
her ship had majorly sailed at that point.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That was bad casting. But Joel McHale,
That's
good
good
casting.
casting.
That's good casting.
he'll
Yeah.
be very funny as Johnny Cage.
Washed up actor Johnny
Yeah.
Cage.
Mortal Kombat's kind of comedy character.
Who kind of almost became more of the main character as the series progressed. Like,
Because he's more interesting than...
Ed Boon, like, actively hates Liu Kang, and, like, for a couple of games, Liu Kang was just a undead zombie. He was more interesting as an undead zombie who hated Raiden than just being like, I am protagonist man. So, yeah. Let's see. Let's do a couple other quick hits.
When you mentioned voice acting in cartoons, I
Yes.
thought you were rolling into the Apu thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which,
yeah.
I mean, I guess we can hit.
We can go ahead and hit this real quick. I just kind of want to touch on this because it is technically news. But yeah, so in a news article a week or two ago, Hank Azaria formally announced that he will no longer be voicing Apu on The Simpsons. I haven't watched The Simpsons in years.
Yeah, I don't watch the new ones anymore.
Yeah, but Cody, you said that Apu had been kind of phased out anyway.
Yeah. I read this off of I think Bob Mackey's Twitter.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
would know.
He would know.
'cause he
He's
does
a
Talking Simpsons
He
podcast.
does, yeah.
That they'd kind of quietly written Apu out of the show in 2018 anyway, so it's kind of a
It's kind of a non-issue. Yeah, this is more of like a confirmation that the character will not be coming back.
At least not as Hank Azaria, but probably not.
Probably
at all
just not
anyway.
coming back because beyond having an Indian character be voiced by a non-Indian actor, which I can understand. This is a very touchy subject. And this is why I don't know how far into this we should really get. I'm going to
because it is. I can see both
Yes.
ways in this one. Like, I do love Apu as a character, but
Yeah.
but I can also see the other side. They're not wrong either. Like,
Well, one of the main problems is that The Simpsons has lasted too long. At the time that The Simpsons was created, they were looking to get as many voices out of as few actors as
It
possible.
was a time when no one would bat an eye at it.
And
Yeah.
exactly, that too.
which, I mean, it doesn't make it right, but
Yeah.
also that's just what the time was.
It is kind of what the time was. And if The Simpsons would have ended 10 years ago, like it probably
should have.
if it would have ended with the movie,
Yeah.
that would have been fine. I could see the other issue with Apu beyond having, a white guy voice a non-white character. Apu is kind of a stereotype. Is kind of a really broad stereotype. But then again, everyone in Springfield is a very broad stereotype. That's another thing that I could see both sides of.
And he does have little details in his character that do make him a little less broad.
And they did work. They did work to make him less broad.
But
over the years.
Yeah.
But it's a little too late.
Yeah.
I guess. And it is for the best that the character is being shelved.
I think they've done everything with him they could have possibly done anyway.
I think they've done everything with The Simpsons they probably could do.
Yep.
If we're being honest. But that's neither here nor there.
And I hate trashing on New Simpsons because it's not... Everybody thinks that.
Everybody,
It's not an interesting opinion to go, The Simpsons is bad now. It's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're still out there giving it their all.
They're doing the best they can, doggone it. But yeah, I mean, it's sad to see the character go, but I can understand the reasonings behind it.
Yeah. It's bittersweet.
Yes. Yep.
Who needs the quickie bar?
I totally forgot about that song.
And here's where you can cut. No,
yeah,
don't cut it.
I won't cut it.
The floors are sticky mark.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So let's do one more quick one before we get into kind of our big news for the Captain Marvel 2. Captain Marvel 2. Yeah.
That's kind of a big thing.
That is kind of a big thing.
It's official.
Yeah, it is
Everybody?
happening. Yes. And there isn't too much news to go along with that other than that it is official and Brie Larson is attached to come back.
The writers of the first one aren't doing this one.
Right.
It's now the showrunner of WandaVision is writing this one.
Which initially seems kind of like a weird pull, but one of the characters cast in WandaVision for Disney Plus is the grown-up, like Carol's best friend's little girl in Captain Marvel 1 is grown up in modern day, and Monica Rambeau is going to be a character in WandaVision. And in the comics, Monica Rambeau has light-based superpowers and went by Captain Marvel for a while. She goes by Photon now, but she is a hero in her own right. So if WandaVision somehow is like the catalyst of that character gaining her powers and then it kind of follows into the Captain Marvel 2, I think that's a smart move on Disney Marvel on their side.
Yeah, keep it within the same storyline.
Yeah.
Writer. Don't do a Star Wars.
Don't do a Star Wars. That is, yep.
And I wish I knew what that writer's name is, but I'm blanking on it right now. It's being written by Megan McDonnell.
Okay, cool.
So
Yeah, and that's awesome. We have a female writer writing a female superhero,
now,
which is, it does seem to help.
which is like the bare minimum.
Well, listen, this is a sad time, but you know what? Sometimes we're lucky to get the bare minimum. Yes.
Now, for director, they could just tap the Soska sisters to direct it.
Yeah,
and then we'd be,
There we go. Yeah. No, we're good.
They've already tweeted that we want this. Let us direct this, please.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let them. They're competent directors. Yeah.
And they've written comics. They wrote a Black Widow series that I've heard is very good.
Yeah. I've heard good things about it as well. So yeah, I mean, let them. Sure, why not? All right, so hey, we're going to go ahead and get into our the last big kind of news for the night. And like I alluded to earlier in the show, it is a little departure from what we normally talk about, but there is a reason we're talking about it. So to kind of preface it, this is more of a tech news kind of thing.
And also sports news.
And also sports news.
And unfortunately, none of us are sports people.
Well, I watch sports, but I am not super great at articulating sports. So, as they say, we're going to be calling in a ringer. We're going to have a special guest come on and going to actually discuss some of the this kind of topic. So
we're gonna call Sam's dad.
We're going to call my dad, and he's going to talk to us about baseball and some of the cheating allegations that have come out from especially the World Series for the last couple of years. So we're going to go ahead and dial it, and we're using new technology here, our fancy Dialatron. That's what I'm calling it.
Oh, man. I should have got my text-to-speech app out.
You should have, yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Greg.
Yes.
Hey, you're on the air with Nerd Overload. How you doing?
Hey, good, Sammy. How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great. So we did a little lead in to this whole deal with the cheating in baseball and the players wearing wires and stuff like that, and we just kind of thought that you can articulate what was kind of going on a lot better than what we can. So yeah.
You can be our sports correspondent.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys. All I know is what I've read and what I've seen reported on TV. But it's upsetting and it's disappointing, and it's just high tech cheating, and it's just making it harder to be a fan.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing is just there's now monitors in the dugout.
Okay, so let's start with that. Let's start with why are they putting monitors in the dugout? Why did that end up there in the first place? And then kind of go from there with how that kind of snowballed into this whole thing.
Okay, well, again, just my opinion, but Major League Baseball brought all this on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Several years ago, they decided to introduce replay, and the original idea for replay in the big leagues was the sole purpose, as I understood it, was to be an assist for umpires in calling home runs. A lot of times, there's different ballparks, sun glare. A lot of times, umpires can't tell if the ball hits above the yellow line, on the yellow line, below the yellow line. There's some ballparks that have a second wall behind the outfield wall.
Mm-hmm.
It hits that wall, bounces back. So there was always, it would happen occasionally where an umpire couldn't tell whether or not a ball went over the fence or didn't.
Right.
And this was originally, as I understand it, the only reason why they brought replay in was to help umpires on home run calls.
Okay, sure.
So once they get it into the big leagues for this, then someone apparently had the brilliant idea, well, we've got replay, we'll give each manager a replay, a chance to replay a call.
So there's like a physical
field.
Monitor like in each one of the dugouts so that they can...
in order to do that, they would have had to have brought a monitor closer to the dugout.
Okay.
Because if a manager is going to appeal a play and call for a replay, it has to be done before the next pitch.
Right.
So the decision has to be really quick. They've got to check the tape. They've got to make an instant decision, and the information's got to be relayed to the manager in the dugout instantaneously, because he's got to, real quick, like now, before the next pitch, got to call for the replay, or he can't.
Right. And you know what? So far, I mean, I can see how they would be adding an extra, kind of superfluous step to the whole thing, but I can kind of see their reasoning behind doing all this. Now, how is this leading into the this whole cheating allegation? This whole thing.
Well, apparently, what the system that the Houston Astros apparently came up with the monitor just outside the dugout, someone decided, hey, look, we can see the catcher's signs. So they were watching the game on a live feed in real time just outside the dugout.
Okay, sure.
Toward the clubhouse.
Yeah.
So he's got someone in there basically watching the game as it's being broadcast. Well, from the center field camera, you see the pitcher and the catcher, and you see the catcher's signs.
Right.
So, I mean, from there, it didn't take a genius. They were looking for the catcher to call for originally what he would call when he would call for an off-speed pitch.
Okay,
not
sure.
a fastball, not a curveball, but an off-speed pitch. And the original setup was there was a trash can in the dugout, and when the guy watching the monitor just adjacent to the dugout would see that the catcher has called for an off-speed pitch, they would hit the trash can with the baseball bat. Yeah, so you're up at the plate, and all of a sudden you hear him thumping on the trash can in the dugout. You know an off-speed pitch is coming.
Right.
You can either lay off it, or you know your pitch is coming in. It's going to be slower than a fastball. It's going to be slower than a curveball. You know what pitch he's throwing.
Yeah, and I mean there's been
so it started from that.
But there's always been like sign reading in the major leagues, kind of.
You know, there's always been sign stealing. There's always been, and it was kind of an art, really. Usually, you know, back in the day, back when I was a kid, there used to be an older ball player or an older coach who would sit on the end of the dugout and would just study the third base coach as he would go through his signs, and pick up a rhythm, okay, and then from that figure out what the opposing team's signs were to the batter. You would have guys sit and they would study the pitcher where maybe he would, on a fastball, he would maybe hold his glove straight up and down, okay?
Okay, sure.
So then maybe he would notice that when he was going to throw a curveball, his glove might be slightly tilted.
Yeah.
So he was telling his pitches. So, you know, it was intricate. It was an art. It was you know, it was kind of neat. But now this is just high tech, you know, watching the game, and then high tech to low tech. They're watching the game, and then they thump on the garbage can with the baseball bat.
It takes all the skill out of it.
It does. And it got even...
Yeah, and it's just, you know, and then it went from there, and it's been alleged now that during the 2017 World Series, 2018, 2017, when the Astros played the Yankees in the playoffs, and supposedly a couple of the players were wired. They had little buzzers taped to their chest, where it had gotten more refined from banging on the garbage can to now they would see what the pitch was coming in, and all of a sudden the batter standing at the plate all of a sudden gets a zip, zip, and he knows what pitch is coming.
Wow.
Yeah, that is really high tech. Jeez.
You know, here's the real tell on this. Now, during the playoffs, it was either 2017 or 2018 playoffs, the home and away splits for some of the Astros players were unbelievable. Their second baseman, Altuve, who won the most valuable player that year, during the playoffs of World Series, so this would have counted that, you know, 2 rounds of playoffs plus the series. I forget how many games that went, but at home, the guy hit 475.
Okay, so a pretty high batting average, yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, he got a hit almost every other time at bat.
Yeah.
Okay, at home. On the road, he hit 120. Okay, they got a catcher. His name is McHale, who had a reputation, a good catcher, good defensive catcher, not really known for his bat. At home, the guy hit like 366.
Okay, yeah.
On the road, he hit 081. I mean, it's glaring.
Wow,
and
yeah.
The real tell is when Altuve hit the home run off of Aroldis Chapman, the guy from the Yankees that throws like 101 miles an hour, and Jose Altuve is roughly 5'4", 5'5". He's like the littlest guy in the big leagues. Okay, he hit a home run off of Chapman that in extra innings that won the game, eliminated the Yankees, and put the Astros in the World Series. So as he's rounding the bases, the whole team is out at home plate, and they've I've seen this tape 2 or 3 times in slow motion, and as he's coming around third base, he's looking at his entire team around home plate. And he's holding his jersey, shaking his head, going, "No, don't take the jersey. Don't take the jersey."
Right, because they were celebrating at home plate, right?
Off.
Yeah.
So he goes into the plate, he ducks down, he's holding his jersey. Why did they want to pull his jersey off? If they didn't pull his jersey off, they would have found the wires. I mean, this is what's alleged.
Right.
And it's just really disappointing. I mean, Houston has fired the general manager. They fired their manager.
Mm-hmm.
They fined the team $5 million. You know what? On a $1 billion enterprise,
mm-hmm.
$1 billion plus for the Astros, $5 million. It's like throwing $5 in a hat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah. But
that was all they were punished. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the bench coach for the Astros when this all got started is a guy named Alex Cora.
Mm-hmm.
After that World Series win by the Astros, he was named manager of the Boston Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, the next season, the Boston Red Sox won the World Series. They are now under investigation for cheating, and Boston has fired him with his association with Houston. Now, the Mets, over this past winter, hired a new manager named Carlos Beltran. Carlos Beltran was a really good ball player. He finished his
The name sounds
career
really
in
familiar.
Houston.
Yeah. I remember Beltran playing.
He finished his career in Houston
mm-hmm.
the year they won the series.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly, he was very boastful about this system that they had. Okay? He knew all about it. Well, he's now associated with this mess in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So Carlos Beltran got fired from the Mets before he managed his first game.
Wow.
He's gone.
Wow.
The players, of course, are tight-lipped.
Sure.
They're not going to say anything. They're not going to rat anybody out.
Well, sure, because
it's very frustrating.
Well, sure, if they sneak this through, I mean, more teams will use this system. I mean, it's
well, now the cover's blown.
Sure.
And supposedly one of the brilliant ideas that MLB came up with is, okay, they're going to delay all the television broadcasts by 8 seconds.
Okay.
So that essentially, if you're watching the game from behind the dugout and you're watching the feed, the 8 seconds time when you see what the catcher has called for,
mm-hmm.
by the time you're able to relay that to the dugout or to the hitter, the pitch has already happened.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, see what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Supposedly is going to be one of their answers, but it's just, it's just getting so hard to be a fan.
Well, sure. Yeah,
it's just discouraging. It's hard to be a fan. And one of the Indians pitchers came out and said this was a statement he said. They're all ticked off because Boston knocked them out of the playoffs a couple of years ago, right in the middle of all this cheating thing.
Oh, sure,
Boston,
yeah.
Supposedly, they said Boston had a camera. Boston had their own camera in the Indians' dugout. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it's crazy how sophisticated the cheating has gotten in this particular case, and I think this is unique in different sports because there's so much time between the pitch and coming to the plate and everything. You would have the time to set up the technology whereas you wouldn't be able to do something like this in like a basketball or football maybe, I guess, but it's kind of this problem is unique to baseball, it seems like. Does that sound about right?
In a way, I suppose, and a lot
mm-hmm.
of that would have to do with the pace of the game.
Sure.
Which, again, that's a whole other thing.
Sure.
Where people worry about the pace of baseball.
Well, sure.
In my opinion, if you don't want to go to a baseball game and spend 2 or 3 hours, don't go.
Well, sure.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
The whole thing of speeding up the game is ridiculous.
Sure. Well, anyway, yeah. That's a different conversation for another show.
That's a whole other thing. Like one of the Indians pitchers said, you know what? I would rather face a guy on steroids than a guy that knows what pitch is coming in.
Wow. Wow.
You think about it. A guy
sure.
who knows exactly what pitch is coming in,
mm-hmm.
man, there's nothing stopping him. I mean,
Yeah.
a guy on steroids, you could slip one past him now and then. But chances are, if a guy in the major leagues at that skill level, if they know they're getting a curveball, they're going to hit a curveball.
Right. Yeah.
If they know they're getting a fastball, they know, they're going to hit it.
Yeah.
And it's true. I understand his comment. I get it.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah. I agree.
So it's just, I don't know. It's just discouraging. I mean, you shouldn't be surprised, really. But I mean, the team that should really be upset is the Dodgers.
Yeah,
because the Astros won the World Series, followed the next year by the Red Sox winning this World Series, and the team that both the Astros and the Red Sox beat was the Dodgers both years.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they kind of got screwed both ways there.
2 years in a row by two teams who obviously were cheating.
Right. Yeah.
High tech cheating, and I don't know. It's I'm sure we haven't heard the last of it.
I'm sure. As we follow it, more and more of this is going to come out. I'm sure. Well, listen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking the time and kind of explaining this to us. Because I mean, we don't usually talk about sports too much on the show, but this is kind of a tech news kind of thing, and this is kind of it's kind of interesting to kind of see the other end.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
And why not try something new on the show?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, listen, I'm glad to talk to you guys, and it has been a pleasure. It truly has.
All right, I'll let you go. Talk to you later.
All right.
All right. Yep. Bye. All right.
That was Dad's Sports Corner.
That was Dad's Sports Corner. Yeah, it's really interesting, and it is kind of a shame that baseball, that this whole thing is kind of happening.
Yeah, that's like 50% of the game.
It is. It is, right?
Totally negated.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just how elaborate the setup was, and I mean,
it's so elaborate. It sounds like a joke.
It almost does. It almost seems like a movie, like some kind of comedy movie or something like that. It's like we're gonna wire you, and we're gonna put all this stuff. You're gonna be like RoboCop underneath your uniform.
Makes me think of the Naked Gun.
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we've made it to the end of the show, so we should probably go ahead and wrap things up. You've been listening to Nerd Overload. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can find us each and every day over at nerdoverload.com. You can also check us out on various social medias like Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Nerd Overload Now.
You can email us at staff@nerdoverload.com.
You can give us a call and leave a message on the special Nerd Overload answering machine thing at... I don't know what to call it. We need to come up with like an official
Next
name
week
for
we'll
it.
have a snappy name for it.
586-372-8020.
That's right. And you can find...
Tell us about what you think about baseball.
Yeah. Hey, why not? Listen, I've always said that nerddom shouldn't be just about movies and comics and stuff, because sports nerds...
Yeah, you can have super specialized knowledge about anything. And be a
I've
nerd
always
about
said
it.
nerdity is a super specialized knowledge about one specific topic. And yeah, so it counts. You can find all of our back episodes on various podcast catchers like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and more. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/nerdoverload now. If you like the show and you want to help support us, you can check us out over there. You can actually get the show a couple days early. And finally, I'd like to thank David Pencil for the use of our intro and outro. You can find more of his stuff at davidpencil.com. And again, thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
Pizza out.